G'day, I'm Paul. So is a Ford Ranger not quite big enough, but an F-150 a little bit too big? Well, there's like a little niche forming right now, and it's this right here. It's the GWM Cannon Alpha. What a name. So it is bigger than a Ford Ranger, smaller than an F-150, but still has the towing capacity of the leading utes in this segment. And it is cheap. Well, it is affordable cheap. And I'm quite surprised at the price and some of the stuff that you're getting inside here. So this is the top spec diesel version that sits mid-spec in the entire range. The top spec is actually a hybrid, but the diesel is called the Ultra, priced at under $58,000 drive away. If that is too expensive, the whole range kicks off at just under $52,000 drive away. So this competes with stuff like the SsangYong Musso, the long wheelbase version, and then your standard sort of competitors in the segment, stuff like Mitsubishi Triton, Isuzu D-Max. It's right in the mix there in terms of torque and its abilities as a four-wheel drive and also a dual cab ute. So today we're going to do a detailed review of this car, plus a bit of light off-roading. And if you do want to skip ahead to other parts of this review, you can use the time codes that are on the screen, or if you're on YouTube, you could scroll down and use the chapters below. And are you looking at buying a ute? If so, have you heard of Help Me CarExpert? All you need to do is go to Google, type in Help Me CarExpert, or scan the QR code on your screen. It will take you to the CarExpert website. It's not just me or Sean doing the video stuff. We're like a big company, 60 full-time employees, and on our website you're going to find news, reviews, and also our car chooser tool. If you're unsure which car you want, all you do is enter in all of your requirements. It'll spit out a stack of options. You can read the reviews, watch the videos, and then we can even put you in touch with one of our friendly dealers. Now let's talk about exterior design. So your optional colors will set you back $595. So again, pretty affordable stuff. On the design front, have a look at it. It is big, but it's not gargantuan like something like a Silverado or an F-150. So you're getting that extra space, and hopefully that translates to extra space inside, because it sits on a longer wheelbase than your typical dual cab ute. It is slightly longer as well. It's just under 5.5 meters long. In terms of width, it's around the same width as other vehicles in this segment, but it does have sort of a larger presence there on the road. Big grille here. Have a look. I mean, big grille, big logo. Look at the size of this thing. It is huge. That's the GWM logo. And overseas, this has the word power, whatever this says, in its name. So that's insigniaed there on the headlights. Full LED headlights as well. LED fog lights too. Parking sensors at the front here. If you go for the top spec version, you're getting 6 parking sensors instead of 4. So I don't know what advantages that brings, but you've got more parking sensors with the more money that you spend. And also when it comes to off-roading, I'll run you through the specs later on, but 800 mil of wading depth. So it is pretty capable there in terms of what it can do off-road. Around the side here, you've got yourself a set of 18-inch alloy wheels. Standard tyre is a highway terrain tyre. We'll see how that performs off-road. You've got these body-coloured wheel arch guards, machine finish there on your wheels as well. In terms of the side steps, similar to what we've seen previously, sort of plasticky sort of side steps. So if you are going to be doing some serious off-roading, you might want to replace that with a rock slider or something just a little bit more durable. 360-degree camera there on the side. You've got roof rails, privacy glass. Look at that cab, it's quite large. Have a look at this. This is the most random feature in the world. It's like a little door that you can store your torch and stuff in. It's one on each side and built into the sort of C-pillar there, which I think is a pretty cool feature. Yeah, interesting. Around the back here, you've got disc brakes at the rear. It runs on leaf springs, so it's not a coil sprung setup. It'll be interesting to see how that handles and performs, given this is a bigger vehicle with a bigger curb weight, but still has around the same sort of payload and towing capacity as the other vehicles in the segment. So I'll be interested to see how they've struck a balance there between comfort and also ability. Come around the back with me. Okay, so at the rear, you've got LED tail lights. You've got this sort of plastic section off on the side there with a bit of aero built into that. So you have a 3.5 ton braked towing capacity, which is good news, because if you have a look at the standard GWM Cannon ute, it has a reduced towing capacity. It's also got an engine that has a lower torque output as well. So you don't really have the ability to tow more anyway, because it just doesn't have that punch. And that's what we discovered when we did our big ute comparison. Really does struggle just a little bit there in comparison to some of its peers when we did stuff like towing. Now have a look at this. This isn't a defect. They haven't just forgotten to complete the tray here. This is quite an innovative setup. So one push of the button in the center there opens this up in 2 stages. So it means that you can get stuff out and not have to have any issues with your tray over here. Now, there is an advantage to that, and it is when it comes to loading pallets in. You can actually just go straight in there and not have the issue of your tray sticking out. The only problem is this doesn't hinge all the way around. So when it comes to stuff like big vans where you can have doors that hinge all the way around, that makes it easier. Whereas this, I think you have probably limited capability there in terms of loading stuff in with a forklift, because you really don't have a huge amount of space between the two. So it's probably just a slightly better way of getting in and out of the tray. But have a look at this. You can then open it as a normal tray as well. So you just push and hold that button in the center, and then this will open as a tray. And that is supported by these hydraulic hinges as well. So it is pretty innovative stuff, and it's cool to see that this is standard on a vehicle in this price bracket. You've got this spray and bed liner, comes with hooks all along the vehicle. There is no 12-volt outlet or any other power in here, which is something that would have been nice to include. Stuff like a power outlet or a 12-volt outlet would have been a useful addition here. Even a roller tray was one of the things that as a premium ute, you would want to have some kind of cover over the tray there. Even stuff like this, if you are going to be using this as a ute, there is no plastic protection on the sides here, so you're going to be scratching this up pretty quickly if you are actually using this as a work vehicle. So it is worth sort of keeping that in mind. Then you can step on the back here as well to retrieve things from the tray. Now let's talk about your tray dimensions and your payloads as well. We're talking about a tray length of 1500 mil. There's a little over 1500 mil of width in the tray, 1110 between the wheel arches. Then when it comes to payload, depending on the spec that you're going for, this one here is around the 700 kilo mark. It gets less the higher you go up the range. So the hybrid is less than that, and then the entry-level diesel is more than that. So it is still a reasonable amount of payload. If you are towing at 3.5 ton, you can still carry your passengers and then something light inside the tray as well. But it's not a huge amount like you're going to find in some of the more heavy-duty dual cab utes, but it's enough to get things done. Now, what do you reckon about the design? Do you think this looks good? Would you buy one of these at that sort of $57,000 mark? Do you think it's cheap enough? Let me know in the comments section below. So we are inside the Cannon Alpha. Have a look at this. This is the key. So you've got unlock, lock, remote start, panic, and then the whole key is a GWM logo. How fancy is that? Also looks like a turbocharger, but anyway, it's a proximity sensing key, so you can leave that in your pocket, and then you have a push button start just over here as well. Have a look at this interior. I mean, I can't stress enough with these Chinese market vehicles that you are getting so much value for money. And you're talking about a car here that's under $60,000. It's got this enormous infotainment system, screen ahead of the driver. You've got all of this sort of wood grain stuff around the place. It is a really impressive looking cabin. So yeah. Now, what about your touch points? So this is nice and soft. That's soft as well. How soft are they? We've got our durometer. We've tested the main surfaces in this cabin. If you want to see how this car compares to others that we've tested before, have a look at the link in the description below. Now, build quality, what is it like? So it all feels really nice and solid. Question is, what will it feel like in 10 years time? But you know, feels good as it is right now. And this is what the door slam sounds like. Nice and premium. Now let's chat infotainment. Have a look at the size of this screen. So it's 14.6 inches in size. I've got it open on Apple CarPlay there. Apple CarPlay is wireless. Look at the size of that. Like, it is super huge, super crisp and clear, and very easy to use as well. So very impressed with that. In terms of the standard sort of infotainment system though, it's pretty straightforward. You've got inbuilt satellite navigation. You have other apps that come standard with the vehicle as well. So you don't need to necessarily have a smartphone connected to access any of these functions. You've got AM, FM, DAB, digital radio. You also have a messaging app and the ability to add users along with USB video as well. Has Android Auto. I'll show you what that looks like. So full screen integration as well. Yeah, nice and sharp too. Very impressed with both of those. Now on the sound system front, you have a 6-speaker sound system. Sound system's okay, sort of nothing too crazy. Head of the driver, 12.3-inch display. This one is pretty basic. There is some sort of trip computer stuff you can have on display, but outside of that, it is sort of pretty straightforward in terms of the way that it looks. Now, safety, you have autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian and cyclist detection. You have an auto-dimming rear vision mirror. You've got a blind spot monitor built into your wing mirror. You've got driver attention monitor, a lane centering assistant, which we will test out. You've got rear cross traffic alert, front cross traffic alert, front and rear parking sensors, and 360 camera. I'll show you what the camera looks like. Look at that. So quality of that is fantastic. You can clearly see the suitcase there. You can also change views as well. So you can sort of adjust what you're looking at there. You can go clear chassis as well. So there's nothing there at the moment, but if you do drive forward, it memorizes what's in front of the car and then replicates it all the way through. What's assist view? Oh, there you go. You can go front and rear as well. So pretty cool setup and some fantastic camera angles there. And this is what the horn sounds like. Now let's talk about your practicality, and we'll start off with connectivity. So you've got wireless charger just over here. Down here you've got two USB-A ports plus a 12-volt outlet, and then a little nook there to pass your cable through. You've got a USB-A outlet up the top there as well for charging your dash cam. In the center console here, it's air conditioned as well, which is good fun. In terms of bottle storage, so you've got this coin tray here, but that moves out of the way and reveals two big cup holders there. Then you have bottle holders inside the door. We will try our bottle in here. Fits in fine. Fits inside the door as well, which is good news. You've got another storage slot down here for keys and odds and ends. Storage down here next to the driver's side. On this side, you've got a pretty deep glove box there, or center console there as well. And then a reasonably sized glove box there too, plus a sunglasses holder up the top. And what about your comfort features? So I've been quietly relaxing here with my massage seats on, which is nice and relaxing. Strangely though, as far as I can tell, I can't see any other buttons to activate it. You have to go into like a settings menu here, into the car menu, and then go to in vehicle and then turn on the massage function through there. So it's a little bit convoluted with that. But you do have a dual zone automatic climate control for the front here, heated and cooled seats for the front here as well. I mean, yeah, they really have thought of everything, which is pretty cool. Driver's seat is electrically adjustable, so you can go forwards, backwards. Your backrest can go forwards, backwards. Front of the seat can go up and down. Back of the seat can go up and down. You've got lumbar adjustment. A passenger seat is electrically adjustable too. Seats are super comfy as well. They've done a good job in just creating comfortable seats that hug you in nicely. Steering offers both tilt and reach adjustment, and on our reach test, stuff is okay to reach, but you have to really sort of dive forward to catch the outer edges of the screen here. Okay, second row. So what can you do here? So you can drop these. That gives you access to the jack under there, plus also top tethers. Outside of that, there's not really much else you can do in terms of lifting the base of these, but watch this. Once you do get inside, you can actually open this, and you've got like a storage nook in there. This is my favorite part though. So one of the benefits of them having a slightly longer wheelbase than the other sort of standard Ranger HiLux style utes in this segment is knee room. Have a look at that. Toe room isn't amazing, but knee room is really good and headroom's great. So means that you have just more room to stretch out here, and you're not getting sort of F-150 room, but you're getting more than enough room here to just make yourself feel comfortable, especially for adults. So really impressed with that space. You've got this button here to open the rear window. You've got two USB-A ports for charging your devices, air vents. You've also got mat pockets here, grab handle as well, center armrest. What's in here? Let's have a look. Two cup holders and a little bit of storage in there as well. It's like a phone holder or something. You can actually move your passenger seat from here as well, so your mate will have endless fun with that. Our window test. Does it go all the way down? So it's auto up and down. Oh, look at that. Fantastic. Okay, so we've just hit the road in the Cannon Alpha. I'm going to start by switching off all of the driver monitoring stuff. It's just constantly annoying us while we're here, so I'm just going to turn all that off. Vital signs, we'll leave that on. Driving, I'm going to turn off the fatigue driving reminder and also the lane assist, emergency lane keeping assist, kill that as well. There we go, okay. Oh, and the traffic signs, because it can't really read those. There we go, okay, so we're set to go. This is a common theme now amongst cars that have been launched this year. The safety systems, or these additional safety systems, just do not work, and they need them to get a 5-star safety rating. By ANCAP, which is the Australian crash testing body. It's completely outdated. We don't have a local car industry, so we don't need a crash testing body. Your taxpayer dollars are going into all of these stupid rules that make these cars frustrating to drive. So, yeah. Anyway, okay, what does it feel like? So initial impressions, the ride is really just firm and busy, which is not what you'd expect from a vehicle like this. It just feels really firmly sprung. Any imperfections on the road, it's picking all of that up. And in and around the city, you just feel everything to the point where it becomes really quite uncomfortable and annoying. So I think the suspension definitely needs some work. We'll see what it's like over our sine waves soon, but just for day-to-day driving, it doesn't really feel great. The other two negatives I'll point out immediately as well are the brake pedal feel. I don't understand how they've calibrated this, or when they did calibrate this, that they thought this was acceptable, because you go to touch the brake and it just goes into like a full braking mode. It doesn't actually have any linearity to it. And then when you come out of the brake, it stays braking until you've exited the actual activation point for the brakes. So it's very inconsistent feel, and it doesn't really fill you with confidence. The other one as well is throttle lag. So here's what I mean. If I accelerate now, nothing, 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 everything. There is so much lag and delay there, and that's in eco mode. If I switch over to normal mode, and we do the same thing again without unnecessarily heavy braking, nothing, 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 everything. And then I'll try sport mode as well, just to see if that makes any difference. Nothing, 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 everything. So they need to fix that. It's the same story in the regular Cannon. It just needs a different throttle map there just to make it feel a little sharper off the line. They're the negatives. In terms of the positives though, when you do sort of sink your boot into it, 480 Newton meters of torque in a vehicle this size isn't exactly a huge amount, and we'll see when we go do performance testing later on how it actually goes up against our stopwatch, but it feels like it is perhaps a little underdone. If a Ranger, which is a smaller vehicle, is starting off at 500 Newton meters, I think that they probably have a little way to go here in terms of giving this just the extra kick that it deserves. This is available with a twin turbocharged petrol V6 in other markets, so that could be a decent option here just to give this a little help along. Under the bonnet of the Cannon Alpha is a 2.4 litre turbocharged 4-cylinder diesel engine, 135 kilowatts of power, 480 Newton meters, so not a huge amount, and that's all mated to a 9-speed automatic transmission. It is basically a full-time four-wheel drive when you're in normal mode, but if you do switch to eco mode, it only runs torque through the rear wheels, so it becomes a rear-wheel drive vehicle, whereas in normal mode and sport mode it's driving all-wheel drive. You then can lock it into a four-wheel drive high range. Then there's a litany of off-road settings as well that I'll run you through when we go do a bit of light off-roading. Now, in terms of fuel economy, we are averaging just under 11 litres per 100 Ks, and that is quite up on 8.9 litres per 100 Ks, which is the official figure they quote. So, you know, like, it's not the end of the world, but, you know, being a diesel ute, it would have been nice for it to be just a little bit better than that. Now, what's it like on our sine wave test? So we do this at 130 k's an hour, which is maximum speed limit here in Australia. Just gives us a good idea of what body control is like once the speed picks up on a country road while you're overtaking or something like that. So here's 130. Yeah, see, it's actually pretty reasonable, and that comes down to the ride being quite firm, so you're getting, as a result of that, better body control. So I think it just needs a slight balance there. 90 k's an hour is the speed we do our super bumpy road at. Let's see what it's like here. Yeah, you really are feeling that firmness. It's kind of throwing us around a fair bit. We've got our condensed sine wave coming up here as well, which will give us an indication of what this is like on a higher frequency surface. Yeah, see, because the suspension is so firm, the body is receiving a lot of that. And even on these sort of faster sections, you really do feel everything rattling through you. So I think they really need to sort that ride out just to make it a bit more comfortable. It is currently oriented to that sporty feel, and I think it is just a little bit over the top. Now, this is obviously not a sports car, but we will pop it into sport mode. We test all of our cars back to back in the same way here, just to see what they're like when they're pushed towards their limits. So we'll see how this goes. Yeah, it is pretty leisurely. Strong brake pedal feel. A little bit of body roll there. Dual cab ute is to be expected. Because it doesn't really have a great deal of power, you're able to just stay in the throttle and it's not going to give you any surprises because it's not exactly piling on a huge amount of speed. Steering feel actually isn't too bad, which is good. Let's see what it's like on this faster section up the back here. Yeah, just that brake pedal feel really just isn't very good, which is a real shame because it's stuff like that that's easy enough to fix. And I would have thought they would have done that ahead of this vehicle being launched. Yeah, look, even on this faster stuff, it's actually not that bad. They've got a decent chassis beneath the skin here, so it's only just a few minor refinements they need to make there on ride and brake pedal feel on the throttle map, and this would feel significantly better than it does. What about your road noise? So it is actually pretty quiet out on the highway. Coarse strip roads, it can be a little bit noisier, but it really isn't that bad. This is how it went when we put it up against our calibrated sound meter. If you do want to see how this compares to other cars that we've tested before, there is a link in the description below. Let's talk visibility. So I can see clearly down the front there. It's a really nice commanding seating position. Big wing mirrors and visibility out the back is great as well. So that's all pretty covered. Stacks of cameras too. Excellent quality, which means parking in and around the city and that kind of thing is all pretty straightforward. Okie dokie, now let's test the semi-autonomous systems. We do this at 70 k's an hour here on our bowl, and just gives us a better idea of I guess how willing the vehicle is to stay within its lane. I did test it on the way out here today and wasn't overly impressed with it. It was keeping like a really long distance between us and the car in front, even when I had it set to its longest distance. So that got a little bit annoying, but let's just see how it performs here at 70 k's an hour. And I'll engage it by double pulling the stalk here, and then we'll see what happens. So there it is there. Steering wheel goes green when it's staying within its lane. So you can see here in our first lane, it's kind of in the center, a little bit off to the right. And then the other annoying thing it was doing as well is, even though I was sort of holding the steering wheel, sometimes it would come up telling me to hold the steering wheel and it would start slowing down. So that got a little bit annoying. Okay, so it's okay here in this first lane. Oops, rookie error. I'll jump over to next lane. Let's see what that's like here. Wait for that steering wheel to go green. Okay, there it is there, let go of that. Yeah, that's way too close to that line. In fact, I just crossed the white line there. I would have taken over if I was driving by that point. And you are meant to have your hands on the steering wheel the entire time anyway, but what is the point of a lane centering system if it doesn't actually stay in the center like it's currently hugging that line there? So I will learn how to drive a car soon. All right, outermost lane, we'll see how it goes up here. Might not even activate up here, not sure. Okay, it's activated. Oh. No longer activated, there it's activated. Now it's off again. Yeah, it doesn't look like it likes this outermost lane, which is fine, but yeah, look, even the performance in the first couple of lanes I just wasn't really entirely blown away with. So yeah, I think that's probably another system they can fine-tune just a little bit better. Okay, time to do some performance testing. See how quick it is. We're going to go all the way through to 120 to see what our overtaking time is like as well. I've got it in sport mode. I've turned traction control off. We'll see how we go. So here it is. Yeah, it's pretty casual. Okay, so it was 80, 100. Oh, we're going to go onto our access road here. 120. Oh, took a while to get there. Okay, so let's have a look at how that went. So 0 to 100, 13.17 seconds. That is very leisurely. 80 to 120, 11 seconds. Yeah, that is pretty leisurely there. Yeah, like I said, it is a fair bit of mass to be moving, but I was hoping it would be just a little bit faster than that. I guess that's what the hybrid is for, if you need that pace, but yeah. All right, let's head back and do a stop from 100 k's an hour. Okay, here we go. We'll get up to 100. And we'll see what it's like to stop in terms of braking distance. Okay, here we go. Okay, well, actually it didn't feel too bad. Let's see what the numbers say. So 100 to 0, 2.87 seconds, 39.91 meters. So that number is actually not too bad. If you do want to see how this vehicle compares to others that we've tested before in terms of those performance figures and stopping distances, there is a link in the description below. Now, how quick does it go in reverse? Let's have a little look. 34 kilometers an hour. Okay, time to do some light off-roading. I'll run you through the high-level specs. So approach angle, 28.5 degrees. That's the angle of the face you can approach before you hit the front of the car. Departure angle, 23 degrees, which is the same but in reverse. Ground clearance, 224 mil, and weighting depth of 800 mil. You've got full drive high range, two-wheel drive high range, full drive auto. You have front and rear diff locks, full drive low range, and a hill descent control. It doesn't have the off-road expert mode that we had in the, what did we test recently? The Tank 500. So we're keen to see how this goes without that. What we're going to do is go over our course here. Oh, by the way, it also has off-road thermal management mode. So it'll basically kick on the fan if required, which I think is pretty cool. Now, what we're going to do is leave it in normal mode just for the moment and go over our offset mogul to start with, just to see how that goes and how well the traction control works. Then we'll progressively work our way up through the four-wheel drive modes and see how they perform. Now our puddle over here is getting deeper and deeper, so I'm hoping I don't roll the car. We'll see how we go. All right, so we get it to the point where we lift that rear wheel off the ground. It has a longer wheelbase, so I'll be interested to see how it goes. So there it is, that rear wheel is off the ground. I'm gonna roll onto the throttle now. See how well the traction control works. Wow, that is so good. Very impressive. That basically just kicked on straight away, and that was in obviously four-wheel drive mode, but kicked on straight away, limited wheel slip, and got us straight over that obstacle without even any dramas at all. So that is pretty damn impressive. So we'll turn around now, we'll go back. I'm going to slot this into four-wheel drive high range. I'm going to turn that around to four-wheel drive high range. There we go, that has automatically switched traction control off. So we'll see how it performs now. All right, I'm going to drop this front end in. Oh, that rear wheel lifts off the ground. Gets me every single time. All right, I'll pop it into this condition there where that rear wheel is resting in our hole, and then I'm just going to lean on the throttle and see how well traction control works. So here we go. I'll lean a little harder on that. I can feel traction control biting there. I'm flat to the board now. We're not getting anywhere there at all. Okay, so let's try locking the rear diff, just pushing that button there. Piece of cake. So just needed the rear diff locked for it to urge its way over there. Traction control wasn't enough to stop the wheels slipping there. But simple push of that button and away we went. Okay, so it is hill time. We do this in low range, so I'm going to press low range. We need to switch it to neutral. Engage low range. I love all the... Okay, there we are. That is engaged. I'm going to lock the rear diff as well. What we're going to do is go up here with gradual throttle and then see if it makes it to the top. Then I'm going to come back again and bring it to a stop, see how well it holds the vehicle, and then how well it'll accelerate away. Might even lock the rear diff there as well. Actually see if there's any other drive modes here. Okay, so no other drive modes in 4L. I wonder if there's other drive modes in 4H, just out of interest. Yeah, so no other drive modes there. So pop that back into neutral. 4L is activated. Okay. Let's see how well it performs here. So gradual throttle. This is on highway terrain tyres as well. So let's see if that affects it at all. Yeah, look, with gradual throttle it is walking up here without any dramas at all. Good breakover angle there too. All right, got our little mud bog here. Okie dokie. Now it is time for our hill descent. See how this performs. So switch that on, that is running. Leave that in low range, climb our way to the top. Love these cameras. I mean, there are so many angles here that you can work with. It is unreal. They've done such a good job with that. Very, very impressive. So, all right, bring ourselves to the top. And then we'll stop around there somewhere and let hill descent control do its thing. I'll see if I can control the speed with the cruise. No, it doesn't look like it. The speed is just sort of staying the same. Yeah, all pretty straightforward and gradual. No dramas there at all. Okay, back to our hill. I think I did notice just there as I was driving through our little mud bog, it feels to me like they haven't calibrated stability control to cater for the rear diff lock, because stability control is working really hard there to limit wheel slip, because I can hear it. But it shouldn't be doing that when the rear diff is locked, because it needs to have the ability to just do its own thing. So you can see it sort of flashing there. So yeah, I think that's probably something I need to get sorted. And I've noticed that in a few other GWM vehicles, when the rear diff or front diff is locked, traction control is having a fit because it's trying to stop the wheels from rotating when it shouldn't be doing that. So, all right, back to our hill this time. I'm going to bring it up. We'll come to a stop and see if it'll pull itself up there on its own. So we'll bring it forward a little bit more. And we'll come to a stop around there somewhere. Okay, so I'm going to let go of the brake. It's holding that nicely, and then onto the throttle. Oh, piece of cake. Very nice, very nice. So they've done a good job with that. That is working exactly as you would expect it to. Okay, let's do a little bit of off-roading on the rocks here. See how this feels. Normally I just ride brake with throttle here. Doesn't seem to love that. Oh, sort of does. I'm not sure what's going on. All right, so there's enough clearance here for it to not touch down, and it feels like it's actually got more than enough clearance. A tiny little touch down there, but for the most part that feels good and nice and comfy as well. Despite the ride being quite firm, it's actually not throwing me around too much in here. So I guess on that front it's actually not too bad. So yeah, all right, there you go. So look, in terms of off-roading here in the Cannon Alpha, it's actually pretty good. You've got front rear diff locks, you've got low range. It kind of just does everything it needs to do. Engine could do with a bit more punch, but I think if you wanted to have the versatility of a work vehicle and an off-road vehicle that you can get away with on weekends and stuff like that, this is kind of ticking all of those boxes. They just need to sort out that stability control issue when it is in low range there, because it is strangely biting. So it's even with the diff lock off there, it's trying to stop us moving, even though it should be giving us complete free reign of movement there. So yeah, just something for the engineers to look at. So the Cannon Alpha, what do we reckon? We'll start off with the positives. Look, it's economical for a vehicle this size. It can tow 3.5 tons. It has all the right specs. It has all the innovation as well. That interior is very schmick, great infotainment system. And I love the innovation with the tray too. So they've really thought about a lot of that for its intended purposes. It is let down a bit by the engine. I think it's underpowered. If you do put 3.5 ton on this, you will really sort of feel that it is struggling. In addition to that, the ride isn't very good. The brakes need work, and throttle sensitivity needs to be remapped as well. So there is still a little bit of work that needs to be done to this, but you cannot look past the value. It is so cheap compared to everything else on the market. So if you are willing to look past those flaws, and perhaps you're not going to be using it to 100% of its capacity all the time, it is easy to look past those things. But yeah, I think they're easy things to fix as well. So hopefully they are watching this, and hopefully they are working on a fix for these vehicles. Let me know in the comments section below. Have you bought one of these? Have you taken one for a test drive? How did you go? What did you think? I'm keen for your feedback. If you did enjoy this video, please make sure you like it and you share it with your mates. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon. But until next time, take it easy.